breaking down the tie. Every wrong, every right. Got the insight, fire, and the Bama pride. When the Crimson's on the line, we alone for the ride. Bama voices on the call, we gon' break it all down. Roll it up. From the rumble in the trenches to the kings of the crown. Roll it up. Yeah, the tide runs deep and the show runs strong. Jack, Jeff, Trev, keep it rolling all season long. Every snap, every play, every headline drop. If it's Bama on the field, you know we never stop. Fast take, big
Oh, man. Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Alabama Postgame Show from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, Jeffrey Only Taught Sports, and Trevor Ware, as we go over our takeaways from this edition of the 2026 Rose Bowl. And we kind of figured, the New Year's not been so good so far. So we figured, let's give it a little bright side. Let's give it a new theme song.
Yeah, feeling real good about the theme song. We had to bring at least the New Year in with those good vibes. At least, we can't get the good vibes from the game. So, the theme song, it'll be around, moving into the off season and, 2026 season. So at least we have that, trending for us in the new year. So.
Oh, man. It was just like, oh, man. So we'll definitely be going over it all right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And let me tell you something, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. And the best way to go is when you're down. The way to go is up. How you gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Jackson. It was a great New Year's Day. It's 2026. Yeah. A lot of people, excited about that. The college football playoff games were not good, depending on who your rooting interests were, or if you just wanted competitive games. I mean, that's the biggest L right there, right? You wanted competitive games, and they were not competitive games. I think that what shocked people specifically in this game was who blew out who, and I think the more that you dive into it, it's not actually surprising. I really don't. It's not actually that surprising who did it based off what we've been seeing all year. The inconsistency of Alabama versus the consistency of Indiana. Oh. Indiana was the more consistent team all year. Alabama had flashes of greatness, and they needed to have that today. They didn't have that at all at any facet of the game. And there's no excuse to be made at all. Todd Simpson got hurt. Austin Mack should have been Keelan. None of that matters. Indiana, they beat a bad Alabama. Alabama's not a bad team. Alabama's a good football team that was inconsistent. And tonight they showed their bad side against a very good team. They played bad. But Jackson has always said and always will say, he's very consistent, and we love him for it. The only way that you can go when you're down is up. And Alabama was better this year than last year. So, I mean, we don't need to throw DeBoer under the bus. It's not time to end that. He's our coach. There's a lot to grow from. There's a lot to learn from this season in this game. Next season's code word should be consistency.
Stability.
Okay. I definitely hear what you're saying, Jeffrey. I definitely hear what you're saying, Jackson. But for me, I kind of got a little bit of a different take from this game. As you said, it's not shocking to me to see that Indiana being the number one seed, knocking off the defending champs, being as disciplined as they've been this year under Coach Ignetti, playing as mistake-free football as that offense runs under Fernando Mendoza. None of those things surprise me. It's just the way it's just the way it happened. Like I can deal with how Alabama lost, but it's the fashion in which they lost. We're talking about the biggest loss since 1998, 35-point defeat, literally. I've never seen that in my lifetime. I mean, I've never seen the Alabama offensive line, like I said, and I said this before the game. I said the keys to this game would be which team gets more push on the offensive line and stuff like that. And I when Alabama started out on defense in the game, they got those first 2 sacks on Mendoza, so I'm feeling pretty good and stuff like that. But when we got over to the offensive side of the ball and stuff like that, as we've seen all year, Alabama just doesn't get any push up front from the offensive line, and we've kind of mentioned some of those things throughout the season. Today was finally, it just kind of just showed its tail in front of everybody. And like I said, I've just never seen an Alabama team just be so dominated in the trenches. Literally, you think of SEC caliber football and stuff like that. So, but honestly, you can't think that way, and this game just showed me in general, you can't think that way just because, Alabama's in the SEC and this or that, they're going to be the more physical team. You have to bring it, and Alabama did not bring it and stuff like that. And I pretty much knew when they fell down by 17, I said, oh, you're not coming back versus this team. Like literally, like they were showing no signs of anything. Like, so it like for me, like I said, it was just the fashion in which Alabama went down, like the lack of fight up front. Like I said, I knew Indiana had a very formidable offensive and defensive line, but I just didn't know Alabama was just the gap was just that enormous. Like we saw it very early in the game. Like the gap was just that enormous. By Alabama's second or third offensive drive, they had only accumulated 50 yards of total offense. I'm like, God, they're getting destroyed. Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like literally. So, like I said, just to wrap that up, like I said, it's just disappointing. Just what I saw just from up front. From a trench standpoint, because that's not an easy fix. You can try to look for more. You can go in the portal and try to fix that with an offensive line and stuff like that, but you still got to get the correct 5 out there. And Alabama struggled with that this whole year. They rotated 8 or 9 offensive linemen. Like, you have to have some type of consistency on that. So to get to y'all points, consistency and being stable. Alabama has no consistency and stable, particularly on the offensive line, and that is why they got destroyed. That is why Ty Simpson threw the ball 16 times and only got 65 yards. That's why. So wrap that up.
Well, you think about the fact that Indiana was the first team to win as of the bye team in the last 2 years. And a lot of it is preparation. You talk about the long layoff. Alabama had all the advantage here because they played less than 2 weeks ago and got that confidence booster against Oklahoma. That's why I was so 50-50 on this game. That's why I actually thought about picking Alabama. I'm like, well, you think about it. Like the long layoff, Indiana's got the even though they're favored, still like they've never been there before type of thing. Like Alabama's been in this situation. The problem is Alabama did not prepare like Indiana prepared. And that I picked Indiana because of the coaching. Cignetti's better coach. It's not even, it's undeniable. Curt Cignetti is the better coach. The coaching staff at Indiana is better than the old Indiana coaching staff that is now at Alabama. And that's a fact. And they got to get better. DeBoer, Womack, Grubb, all those guys got to get better. They did not prepare for this game. Alabama has better talent. They have more guys that are going to be playing in the NFL next year than Indiana. Alabama's the much better football team on paper, but they didn't prepare as hard. They didn't play as hard. And Indiana won every position battle. It wasn't even just the line of scrimmage. You think about Ohio State. Miami beat them down, and Ohio State just looked rusty and bad last night. And Ohio State is the more talented team. Miami's got talent, but Ohio State's the more talented team. The only player for Ohio State that played better than most of the players for Miami was Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith showed up. He was balling. He played good. Everybody else was dead. Everybody for Alabama was dead. Brian Williams probably was the best player. And that's insane at this point.
And he had 65 yards. Yeah.
That's it. No, everybody else was terrible. The entire defense was terrible. The entire offense was terrible. Talty hit a field goal. They did not prepare. Indiana is an elite coach team. They're just absolutely perfect coaching. You can't get much better than that. The players, though, execute better than anything I've ever seen for those type of guys, 2-stars and 3-star players. Alabama had the talent. Alabama had all the advantages in the world in this game. They just didn't play as hard. If they had played harder, they would have been a lot more competitive at the very least. But they just got wrecked at every position, all across the board.
Yeah, and it's for sure all across the board. But like I said, when I just look at the rushing totals and stuff like that, 215 to 23, Alabama had only had 6 yards of rushing over the last 2 games. But like the simple fact that like you just get annihilated that bad up front, that is just terrible. And I'm like, like I said, that's a problem that Alabama is gonna have to address like immediately going into offseason, like because this is the worst rushing Alabama football team in probably program history. I may be exaggerating. We may have to go back in the record books and look. It may be something lower than that. If it is, somebody show me. Somebody show me a worse rushing attack than what we saw this year. But even last year when people were complaining about Jalen Milroe and all the quarterback runs and stuff like that, I know fans miss that now. Stuff like that. There's no knock on Todd Simpson, but it's just the fact like Alabama had no semblance of a run game for we played 15 games this year. They probably rushed for they probably had good rushing totals. And this is not counting the Eastern Illinois game. They probably had good rushing totals, a good rushing day that they can honestly hang their hat on. They probably had that out of 15 performances, probably 1 or 2 times. Maybe I think Missouri and I forget the other game, but it wasn't over 3 times. So like you think of Alabama and all the great running backs that's just come through the history of these programs and stuff. You talk about the Derrick Henry, you talk about the Josh Jacobs, you talk about the Trent Richardsons, the Mark Ingrams, and forgive me if I'm missing anybody else, but the running backs of that world. And it's no slight to what Alabama has in their running back room, but like I said, and I said this on my social media and stuff, I just think it's just a personnel issue. I feel like not making excuses for Kalen DeBoer or Ryan Grubb, but I do feel like they have been coaching with their hands, one hand tied behind their back this season, just because of what they kind of inherited on their offensive line. Like you got to think about it. When DeBoer first got to Alabama in 2024, his starting offensive tackle was Caden Proctor. Now Caden Proctor is supposed to be a high round draft pick in this year's draft, and he's supposed to be one of the best tackles and stuff like that. But those are not the type of offensive linemen and body builds, as I said in previous videos, that Kalen DeBoer kind of wants to work with. You look at the offensive line he had at Washington and stuff like that, you just saw slimmer athletes. You saw, better builds. You saw lighter tackles. They were able to do more counters, do more pulls, do more stunts and stuff like that. But that's also just a small piece in why Alabama's offensive, run game isn't working. And, so they're going to have to get into the portal this offseason and, really just do some dissecting on what exactly they need. But with all bad, it is some good. The only good I can see really coming out of this is just a simple fact that everything hit rock bottom that the way it did, and now Kalen DeBoer can go into this offseason, and really look himself in the mirror, because there's no hiding. Everything, all the problems were put on the bulletin board, were put on display today. All the weaknesses of Alabama football put on display today. So looking at this game, looking at all the losses that Alabama had, and even some of the wins that we squeaked out and got, looking at those games and looking at the game today, Alabama definitely should at least know what they need to do moving forward, I would feel. So, like I said, a lot of disappointment coming from today's performance on offense, particularly on offense, but at least that's the small positive spin I can take on it. Like I said, we can look forward and just, use it as a growing experience, because Alabama fought for DeBoer. They fought off Michigan and this and that, and everybody was saying DeBoer was going to leave and stuff like that. Well, DeBoer not going nowhere. He's staying. We know that. So anybody saying DeBoer this or that, get over it. He's going to be Alabama coach in 2026. So what are we going to do differently from a personnel standpoint to move to be a better football program in the coming year. That's needs to be the focus now.
Well,
I think a big thing though. Go ahead, Jackson.
I was going to say to Trevion's earlier point where he talked about how this was the most points that we've lost by since 1998. Trevion was referencing the 1998 Alabama-Arkansas game, the first year of the Houston Nutt era, which was
they lost 42-6. Like that is terrible. But
on ESPN2, nobody was watching ESPN2 back then. And,
but to that point, this is now the second time also in Kalen DeBoer's era that Alabama hasn't scored an offensive touchdown in a game. Last year, Norman versus Oklahoma, that 24-3 loss. Today, 38-3. This is the second time under Kalen DeBoer that this has happened. I mean, now you just heard me go to bat for Kalen DeBoer and say he's going to be Alabama's head coach in 2026. I don't have a problem with it. I'm on board. I still think he can lead Alabama to success. But you look at those, the way Alabama loses games, and me and Jackson have said this before, me and Jeffrey have both said this before, the way Alabama loses games, the way things, like I said, I'm okay with losing, but it's the way that they lose games. Literally, and these type of losses tend to happen under the board. So there's some type of pattern or something. So it's gonna be a lot of stuff that needs to be looked at over this offseason for sure.
I think what frustrates me so much though about when people talk about schedules, and again, this is when we talked on Monday with both Alec and Bradley of Indiana Voice of College Football. We talked about the schedules. I get sick and tired of people talking just about the schedules and talking about the wins and the losses, and that's it. And just taking it at face value. Miami, credit to them. They've done so much better than I would have thought. So I can't really use them as an excuse. But when you want to talk about a week one game or a really early season game to say that this team is so much better than this team, and it's like, Alabama beat Georgia really early in the season, and that was the best win in college football at the time. They peaked.
Yeah. And
those other wins that they had that were so great, have they turned out to be that good? Missouri is not great.
Yeah.
Tennessee is not great. Tennessee lost to Illinois.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, Indiana beat Illinois. Who cares about Illinois? Well, Tennessee's not that good. Missouri's not that good. Vanderbilt lost to Iowa, and I know bowl games don't matter.
Like dog shit.
I know bowl games don't matter, but the teams that we beat really, really weren't that good.
Like Tennessee
and Georgia improved from that. They got so much better by the end of the season, and that's why we got Mack truck by them the second time around.
And this is the second year that's happened. Last year Alabama beat in 2024, Alabama beat Georgia at home in Tuscaloosa, and then, they kind of fell off a cliff in the second half of the season. And, this year versus Georgia, you can argue the same thing happened again. And, the first game versus Florida State, that was kind of a microcosm of what today really was. They were kind of better offensively in the Florida State game, but still the same. They still had the same limitations of not being able to run the football, not being able to get off the field, not being able to formulate a pass game. So game one, from game 1 to game 15, there was a lot of growth in this Alabama football team, but there were a lot of limitations that I myself tried to overlook, and I tried to say that, this is this, they'll get better from this, injuries, getting certain players back would help. But, at the end of the day, we're here now and, got to face the music. It is what it is. So I'm just looking at this performance overall, and I'm thinking about how the transfer portal opens tomorrow, what Alabama players will, make their exit, and how Alabama attacks this transfer portal, because like I said, they're gonna have to need to do something. Like, they can't stand on their hands. Like, they have to make some type of move. Like, I'm not saying
Travion is that they have talent now though. And I agree that some of the talent that we have is not DeBoer's fit. I agree with that. But the problem is that in this day and age, in 2026, which is crazy to say we're in 2026, but in 2026, it's more about getting your players to play hard.
Yeah.
It's not a talent problem. Indiana is not that talented. They don't have high draft picks. They don't have a single 5-star. They're not that talented. They played harder. Coach Cignetti is probably the closest thing to Nick Saban in college football right now. And that's why they're winning games. Our problem is in Alabama is that we don't consistently play hard. You could get some new players, but if you have the exact same coaching, then guess what? You're just going to get the same results, a bunch of inconsistency. If you bring in new players, then the new players have to buy into the system better than the old players can. But if they're not going to do that, you're going to get the exact same results. It's not the talent. I understand Steve's he don't understand what I'm saying. He's looking at it that Indiana's kicking everybody, you know what, and that they're better. Indiana does not have the players that Alabama does. We at Alabama should have easily been able to do a lot better this year in a lot of games based off our talent alone. But the talent's not enough anymore. It's just not, especially when a lot of players' headspaces aren't focused anymore. That's why you're seeing such crazy results where 1 week a team's blowing out a team by 40, the next week they lose by 25. That used to happen, but it's happening more so now than ever before. And that is all I'm saying. Like, Alabama can bring in some more players, and that's fine, but they're going to have to play harder. They're going to have to want to win. They have to have fight. And for the first 5 minutes of the game, they looked like they were, but then it just died. Like Indiana, after they kicked the field goal, they quit.
Yeah, but when you say that, like, who is that an indictment on? Because Kellen DeBoer, is over the coach.
A lot of the staff.
Yeah. I mean, so that's an indictment on the staff because Kellen DeBoer and the staff has to get the coaches ready for the environment they're going to be entering. They have to get the players ready for the environment they're going to be entering. They have to get the players' headspace, and if a player is not in a certain type of headspace, well, he should not be on the field. So, that's just a small indictment under Kellen DeBoer. I mean, I'm not here to say, like I said, Kellen DeBoer is the coach of Alabama in 2026. He should be. Alabama will be under the he has the best the direction that Kellen DeBoer is trending is still in a good direction in my opinion. Because like I said, we saw sort of the demeanor change he had to undergo this year. Just him him being not such a hard coach like Nick Saban was in terms of discipline and stuff like that. And some players even came out on record. Like I remember Jeremy Bernard came out on record and said, Kellen DeBoer, since the Florida State loss, he kind of had to turn things up from just within himself. He had to change his own style of coaching because you could tell DeBoer is kind of a laid back kind of dude and stuff like that, so with that just being said, I'm just hoping that, maybe in year 3, Kellen DeBoer just having more grasp on the program in year 3 and stuff like that, we can potentially just see his teams be better coached and better prepared and start games faster, because that's really what it was for Alabama. On top of that, they come out dead. They've come out dead on several occasions. So in versus Indiana, you come out dead. They just gonna pile dirt on you. They're gonna bury you. You're not gonna be able to come out from that. So
because they played hard the entire game. I mean, even when it was 38-3. They were still playing hard.
Yeah, they were still playing hard.
And that is what Nick Saban Alabama teams used to do. If you go back mid-2010s era, we played hard for 4 quarters. You started to evaporate a little bit after 2020. NIL was creeping in. The portal starting to become more of a thing. We had the Ajah Hall situation, the Jaleel Billingsley situation going on. It was starting to creep in. It was creeping in. Saban was starting to lose the grasp just because it's so hard to coach the way he coached now. And Cignetti, I don't know if it's sustainable. But he's doing it right now. But it's very hard to do that. DeBoer has no grasp on the team. Zero.
Yeah.
He's a good coach. He can coach. Yeah. But he's got zero grasp on these players. That's why Ryan Williams is all over the place. That's why half the team just looked disengaged by the second quarter. That's why against Oklahoma, they started out 17-0 down.
Yeah.
That's why against Georgia in the SEC championship game, they didn't show up. That's why they turned it over 3 times at home. They are such an undisciplined football team, and they don't play hard all the time. And it's sad because you would think just playing for Alabama, that would be enough. But see, other factors have gotten in the way. Money blinds a lot of players. Ryan Williams, the more notoriety he's gotten, the worse he's gotten. And he's not going to improve going to another school. All right? It's in his head. He's got to focus. And whoever's his coach has to get him to focus. He should just focus himself because the dude is talented. The dude is incredible. But he's not there half the time. And that's the problem. That's the way the whole entire team is. Ryan Williams almost just embodies the entire team, and we don't realize it. Alabama is probably 4th or 5th in college football with talent. They might even be top 3. But I mean, you look at Ohio State and Georgia, whatever, 3 or 4. Alabama's right there. They have the roster. They have the players. We can get some more, but if they have the exact same inconsistencies, it don't matter. I know I already said that, but I'm harping on it because because people are now they're starting to say it on Twitter right now and everywhere.
Like the portal just gonna be an easy, like the portal just gonna be an easy fix. It's a cultural thing at the end of the day. It's and
people are now trying to say Alabama doesn't have good players. Alabama doesn't have a good team. Are you out of your mind? Alabama's got great players. They're gonna have like 10 draft picks in the spring. They got a great team. They just didn't play that good. And a lot of those guys, when they go pro, will be fine. It's just it's cultural. It's the will and the desire to want to win. Kind of like how Auburn shows up against Bama and Georgia every year and no one else. When they care, Auburn's pretty good. When they don't care, they suck.
And that's basically what it is, just for like Alabama. Alabama gets up for certain games when they want to get up for certain games and stuff like that. It
used to never be that way with Saban.
And it used to never be that way with Saban. And unfortunately, with Kalen DeBoer, under these past 2 years and stuff like that, we've seen that on several Saturdays. We've seen that on several game days in general. So, I'm just hoping that, in year 3, we can just see some type of improvement, because this is going to be the year I really judge Kalen DeBoer. I mean, this is definitely going to be the year I really judge Kalen DeBoer, just because from the quarterback standpoint, we haven't even gotten to Ty Simpson, and that, with the injury he suffered today, that could be the last time we see Ty Simpson in the Crimson Tide uniform. Unfortunately, definitely want to thank Ty Simpson for everything he's done, just from just from the discipline to wait and, even get to this scenario, be in this situation. We thank Ty Simpson for that, but we saw Austin Mack today, and we're going to have to see. It's going to be a tough decision with Ty Simpson. He has the opportunity to return back to school or in the NFL draft. I think he should go to the NFL just because he's Mel Kiper had him as a number 3 quarterback, just a relatively weak quarterback class. But if he, for whatever reason, thinks he has unfinished business in Tuscaloosa, that could kind of cause like a log jam at the quarterback spot and stuff like that. So it's going to be that's a small thing I brought up, but it's a big thing, because there's going to be a lot of decisions like that are definitely going to have to be made. So, and that might cause Kalen DeBoer to, I was just saying how he, Nick Saban handles certain things, certain ways and stuff like that. Kalen DeBoer this offseason, he can't be afraid to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm not saying he hasn't been afraid.
You gotta have your Pat Riley moment, like on Winning Team, where he's just like telling everybody what they're doing wrong, and then like, where he just tells Jerry West, "Okay, I'm taking you off. I'm the coach now."
The thing is with the Ty Simpson situation is that it's 50-50 to me, because if he goes pro, he's probably going to get drafted higher this year than he would next year, because the class is weak, because all the quarterbacks that were supposed to be good by the experts ended up sucking really badly, including the ones that we thought would be good in the preseason, like Sellers and Lagway, my 2 highest rated quarterbacks that both sucked. Sellers, I can give a little defense because South Carolina was trash, just like I said they would be this year. But he couldn't save them at all. Lagway sucked. Mendoza ended up being great, like I said. But everybody else I was wrong on. We were all wrong. Nussmeier and Arch kind of improved. Most of them suck. Underwood sucked. saying was good.
Yeah,
but
Beck,
again,
Beck has a chance to. Beck has a
Yeah.
chance to possibly he could do some small, saving of his reputation if he can, finish his postseason run. But I mean, that's a topic for another day. Beck hasn't really done anything. He's not the reason Miami's winning. I'm gonna say that. I mean, but that is what that is. But to get back to your point, this is a relatively weak quarterback draft class. So Ty Simpson does have like a unique decision to make, but that decision is going to affect Alabama because.
But NIL is also a factor. I mean, you go back 6-7 years ago. If you were a 4th round draft pick or even maybe a 5th round draft pick or above, you were probably going to go pro. Now with NIL, it's like if you're not a 1st round draft pick, if you're not maybe a high 2nd round draft pick, Ty Simpson probably makes more money in NIL at Alabama next year than he would going pro. And that's a whole other factor. So it's like, do you want to come back to college, get more NIL, try to win, again, a championship or SEC championship, all that kind of stuff next year, and possibly improve your draft stock, but albeit in a tougher quarterback class probably? Or do you go now while you still have things you probably need to improve on, and you get drafted late 1st, early 2nd, and all that, but you don't get more NIL. That's the way your Bama career. It's a tough situation because, like I said, the NIL is a factor now. I mean, there are guys making more money in college football than a ton of NFL players. A ton of NFL players. And Caden's snoring right now, but guess what? Your little Ohio State players are making more money to lose too. So there you go. And by the way, it's also kind of funny too, the fact that Miami, the team that you said should be in over Notre Dame, ended up beating your team. So it didn't really work out that good back in Miami.
No. So there we go. And we will get to this $5 super chat from Caden the Diesel Free for the first super chat of the new year 2026. And he says, quote, "Did a dummy say my name because I was lifting weights?"
Dude ain't lifting weights right now. He's upset Ohio State lost again. And again, everybody in the nation's happy they lost because of Caden and other Ohio State fans. Not Stephen Cherry and Hummus Hero and Troy V. They're great.
Or Dr. Buckeye David Green.
But the rest of you don't care.
Yeah.
And Mark Rogers as well. Hate it for Mark Rogers too. I don't care.
I didn't even know Mark was, to tell you the truth, I didn't even know Mark was a fan of Ohio State until he was like super happy that Ohio State was beating Notre Dame.
I didn't know either. That's why Mark's amazing, man. He's like, didn't know. He's like unbiased, didn't know. And I mean, he doesn't talk about it that much. It's like a lot of people's like, oh, it's just Ohio State. The people online are just crazy with that. It's just, I don't know. I know you love your team, man, but it's like every team can be beat. Every team can be beat. Alabama has fallen. We're not unbeatable anymore. We're not on the run anymore. We're also not Clemson, but we need to make sure we don't become Clemson either.
Oh, we're not going to be like Clemson.
We're not.
That
but, I mean,
yeah, but to Jeffrey's point, everything could be beat. Matchups make styles, and styles make fights. And we, like, for example, with the Miami game versus Ohio State, Ohio State was overmatched because that offensive line. I mean, that Miami defensive line is just vicious. Like, they definitely have the best defensive line left in the college football playoff. It's either them or Georgia or maybe Indiana, but still the same. But to get back to Alabama's point, styles made fights in that same game as well. And Indiana, for Alabama having the more explosive team, that's really what I was banking on this week and stuff like that. Indiana, for one, the style of discipline overmatched Alabama. Just the style of the style of balance overmatched Alabama. Because you look at Mendoza and stuff like that. Mendoza had a good game and stuff like that. Still threw for 3 touchdowns and stuff like that. But it's not like he tore it up. Indiana still had more rushing yards than passing yards, I believe.
That was by design.
Yeah.
They wanted to shorten the game. That's what Indiana wanted to do. Yeah. They wanted to shorten the game, and that's why they were able to dominate the time of possession, something we can't do because we don't run the ball.
And which is why I'm giving more credit and more power to Indiana. The fact that they don't have to be one-dimensional the way Alabama is. They can mix and match. They can play different football on different days. If this style don't work this day, we can go here. We can go this. We can go that. They got different, stuff like they just have different styles, and Alabama having one style and not even having a particular one style because they had no true identity. They weren't truly great at hitting the deep ball. They weren't truly great at running the football. They weren't truly great at they were explosive, but they probably get about 3 explosive plays a game. So like I said, styles make fights, and it's just unfortunate that Indiana, the gap is crazy. I just didn't think the gap would be that large between just the two teams. I come into this game, we were talking to Brad and Alec the other day. I just thought the game was just going to be way closer. I thought it was going to be more evenly matched. But like I said, I can personally say I was wrong. Want to give credit to Indiana if I haven't already. Like I said, that's a good football team. Indiana. I'm taking them next week to beat Oregon. I mean, for one, they've done it already, and two, Oregon, they were kind of beat up at the end of the Texas Tech game. I saw Dante Moore, with his hand, he kind of banged his hand up, and then Oregon has some offensive line issues, and then Oregon just hasn't looked that great over the playoffs. So
Coach Sidnetti basically has a permanent mad face, especially after winning 63-10 against Illinois. And I will say he was happy at the Rose Bowl ceremony after the defeat against Alabama, but still, though, I don't want to mess with a guy that's looking mad after a 60-point win.
I don't know if you also saw, but when he was over on the sideline, it was around like 2 minutes left in the game, and they panned over to the Indiana sideline, and some of the Indiana players were starting to get kind of excited and stuff, and he was telling them to calm down.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why is he's like, the game ain't over yet. Still 2 minutes left. It's 38-3. It's over, but it's not over. And that is what separates him from everybody else. Those things, those little attention to details, like it's not over yet. We're not celebrating yet. And again, I know nobody else on the planet paid attention to that, but I did. I watched that game. I had my eyes glued. I wasn't on Twitter. I was glued to the game. Indiana, the entire game from start to finish, was better because of that staff, because they got them ready to play for the entire 60 minutes. That's what Alabama's got to do next year. And if it don't happen, the inconsistencies will continue. DeBoer will get fired, and then we'll get into a revolving door of hiring and firing coaches, which you don't want to do. Because I think DeBoer is really, really good. It's just a different standard here than it is at Washington, and you're playing different levels of opponents, even though the SEC this year actually wasn't good. Let's be real. It's not actually that good this year. It's pretty bad, and the Big Ten's gotten better because of this. The Big Ten's doing better because that media rights deal and the NIL that they got up there, it's Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State. The SEC's struggling right now. The SEC's still a great league.
Yeah, the ball game showing it. So yeah, this ball season we saw it. I mean, there's no running away from.
And a lot of it, they don't even care. I mean, I will say some of them don't even care. They're not even showing up in these bowl games. Texas cared, surprisingly, but some of them aren't showing up. They're just not showing up. But the SEC is struggling right now. Legitimately, they're not doing very well, and they need to get it together because the talent's still in all these schools. Maybe Lane will make LSU better. Georgia's still good, but like. A lot of these programs are struggling. What's Ole Miss going to be now? I don't know. The SEC struggling. The Big Ten as a whole, the league is not as strong as the SEC still. But at the top, the Big Ten is better right now. At the top, except maybe Georgia. We'll see what they do. I think what's funny what Steve says here about no shade, but I don't think Indiana will beat Lanning twice the same season. They might not. But what blows me away is how Indiana is 14-0, and people are just still inclined to think they're going to lose. They might. But what do they got to do for people to say that this is a good team? Most of the country is getting there, but it's still just like, I mean, that's why Cignetti, he's arrogant. Well, Cignetti said, we're Indiana. Why does that matter? He says that because people treat this team differently because they're Indiana. You got to get to a point where you're just like, hey, even if they do lose to Oregon next week,
you still have
this was one of the best teams in the country. This was an elite team. Okay, if Georgia loses to Ole Miss, we're not going to suddenly say Georgia's not an elite team. They just lost today. It happens. Okay? This is a good football team. This is a great football team. Alabama lost to a great football team. Alabama's not a bad football team. And that's why I'm getting frustrated because I knew this would happen. I knew that what was either going to happen is if Alabama won, Indiana's no good, or if Indiana won, Alabama's no good. Both teams are good. Indiana's better, coached, better. They played better. But
Yeah,
Alabama's still a good team. They're not bad.
Yeah, in Indiana, they just basically show, like Jeffrey said, it's levels to this right now. Like Alabama is not on the level of Indiana. Unfortunately, I never thought I would be saying that, but that is what it is. Like better coach football team, just better at all positions. Like I said, they have multiple ways to win and stuff like that. Better on both sides of the ball, better special teams, better morale on the team, probably stuff like that. So it's just a lot of factors that play into it. But just like I said, is anybody that's still shading this Indiana team shouldn't, either they're a hater or they don't know football, because if you watch today's game, we definitely saw that Indiana could definitely go on to win a national championship, and it's nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. Ohio State will be back and cause destruction.
That is the $2 super chat from Kane to
By the way, I'm currently getting message at just so everybody.
Well, I will say, Kata, we appreciate the $5 super chat and the $2 super chat. And, for everybody tuning in to the Alabama postgame show and to all the shows on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, if you would like to put in if you want your message to be guaranteed to be read, put it in a super chat, and we will make sure to read it no matter what it says. But also, if you can't be able to put in a super chat, become a YouTube member of Alabama with the Voice of College Football, no worries. That is okay. That's why you see on the ticker down below to like, comment, subscribe. Click on the notification bell and share Alabama with the Voice of College Football to all your friends and your family and those cashiers at Publix that are just tired of being at their shift and just want to go home. So you never miss another video whatsoever. And let me tell you, we've got some magic of 2026 coming your way from Jeffrey, Trevion, and myself, all right here. Gentlemen, we were talking a little bit about the quarterback game for a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Ty Simpson and what's next. Because it feels like a QB battle's ahead.
Yeah, what's just next for Ty Simpson? I've been seeing some early reports, obviously, on social media, and DeBoer kind of is confirming this in the post game now as he speaks to reporters. He was saying that Ty Simpson did suffer a cracked rib in a I'm trying to so I can read it right. He suffered a cracked rib and was evaluated, and he also had like a thumb injury going on. So he had two different types of injuries, and unfortunately, that's what led to his, exit of the game. But when Ty Simpson did exit the game, for what it's worth, I did like what I saw out of Austin Mack. He kind of, he was thrown into a rough spot, being down 24-0, but he came in and he played with some type of command. He came in and played with some type of confidence, and I like what I saw from the red shirt sophomore. He's going to be a junior now, but that is one good sign that I can point to in 2025 at least, that if this is the last that we saw of Ty Simpson, that Austin Mack is capable, because we did see him against a starting playoff caliber defense. He was able to, he did lead Alabama on the longest offensive drive. It was 65 yards. It was a field goal, but Austin Mack did make he made a throw to Jeremy Bernard that kind of stood out to me. It was a sideline throw, and it was just a strong throw, down the field throw. So that shows me that he has confidence in some type of command, and and does believe in his ability. So that's good. And just knowing that what Alabama has in Keelan Russell, the 5-star freshman that was, a lot of people were clamoring for him this year and stuff like that. But, ultimately, he redshirted. But, if Ty Simpson, he has a big decision to make. He said before the Rose Bowl that he isn't sure on what he's going to be doing next. He still has can go to the NFL. Like I said, the number 3 quarterback on Mel Kiper's big board, or he can return to Alabama for his 5th year and try to ride off into the sunset that way. But Alabama also has some decisions they need to make on their own, because if Ty Simpson does return, who says he's handed back the starting quarterback job? With a year of Austin Mack, being more in Ryan Grubb's system, and also Keelan Russell, and who says how they approach the portal. Like I said, they can bring in anybody. So it'll be interesting to see how they address this quarterback room. But like I just said, just to take away from today, I did like what I saw from Austin Mack. He did look. I was impressed with the little I saw from him today.
Oh man, it felt like we had a little bit of energy.
We saw
huh?
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I said, like, we saw a little bit of energy. We got a little energy boost when Mac was coming in, but it was unfortunately not enough for Alabama.
Yeah,
we saw Austin Mack and we saw Keelan Russell early in the season, and they both showed flashes of being good against nobody opponents, obviously, but still, I mean, we saw flashes. They have talent. The problem is that, again, you're either going to have a two-way battle between Mack and Russell, possibly a transfer quarterback as well, because that's always in the cards, or Simpson comes back and you've got a three-way battle. I think if Simpson comes back, he's going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think it's going to be a battle. I think the issue is going to be whether you can keep the other two guys. It's going to be hard enough to keep both Mack and Russell if you don't have Simpson in the picture. But if you do have Simpson in the picture next year, it's going to be hard to keep them both. Mack, I think that Mack's performance against Indiana was more so just because of the fact he came in and he was different.
And they were off guard,
because after that job, he didn't do it after that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, Indiana was like, oh, God, he's new. What do we do? And then after that,
they were preparing for Simpson the entire week, and that does throw a defensive staff off the players. That would throw me off.
I don't want to hype up Mack too hard. I don't want to hype up Mack too hard just for that drive, because I was watching. I'm like, Indiana's just a little bit because after that, they shut him down. Because the one throw to Bernard, that was a good throw. It shows he's got great arm talent. He had another throw down to Bernard on the left side of the field where he had to throw it all the way across the field. Those are great throws. Now that was probably one of the biggest breakdowns on Indiana's defense all night was the pass to Bernard on the right sideline. Pons and I forgot who the other defender was. They got mixed up on who they were supposed to guard. That's what got Bernard on that wheel route. But it was a great throw. But I think IU was a little caught off guard by Mack coming in. And I think it would have been the same way with Russell, but then they settled down and shut him down. I think that Mack is good. I think Russell is good, but I think that if Simpson came back, he's our guy. He would be our guy next year for sure, no doubt about it. But I think that either Mack or Russell next year got to improve substantially to be legitimately better than Ty Simpson this year, or we got to go to the portal. And I don't like going to the portal, but sometimes you got to go to the portal as well, because there are some good portal guys out there right now. Maybe they're all going to be taken by the time that Alabama, starts looking for them, because, I mean, you already got the Sorsbys and the Hoovers and all that, which I'm not saying they're better than Russell and Mack, but I'm just saying they're out there right now. They're probably already getting, lured to a school currently. But I mean, the problem is I think that Alabama needs to improve the rest of their team more than the quarterback, because you can win still today in 2025, 2026 in college football with a quarterback that's not that great if your team is really good.
And we're seeing that with Miami.
Struggled because our team just did not help him around him. So.
Yeah, and it was too much on the weight of Ty Simpson's shoulder this year. Like I said, asking him to make up for a run game that isn't present, that was just that was bound to only take us as far as it's taken us. But to your point, with the quarterbacks Alabama has on their roster, and I just think about Keelan Russell and him being the highest rated quarterback recruiting program history. I just think if Ty Simpson were to come back, I just think the job would be open off of the standpoint of that. And with Alabama bringing in the new quarterback coach and stuff like that, and Nick Sheridan being gone. I mean, Ryan Grubb still is the offensive coordinator. Kellen DeBoer still is the head coach. If they want Ty Simpson to be the quarterback, he will be the quarterback. And it's nothing else to be said about it. But it'll just be interesting to see how Ty Simpson goes about this. Because like I said, number 3 quarterback on Mel Kiper's big board, that definitely holds some type of weight in his decision. I know it would. It wouldn't mind for sure. I mean, I'm not Ty Simpson, but still the same. But it'll just be interesting to see because even if he does come back to Alabama, I'm just thinking about just the log jam at quarterback. It'll be some type of subtraction if he comes back. That's just my early speculation. I mean, Austin Mack. For all we know, me and Jackson speculated on this when we first heard about Nick Sheridan going to Michigan State and being offensive coordinator there. What if Nick Sheridan plucks a quarterback? Because Michigan State, they just lost their quarterback, Aiden Childs, to the transfer portal. Alabama could easily get a quarterback plucked on the way out, and but still the same. Now Alabama kind of has like a small quarterback a question once again at quarterback in going into the offseason under Kellen DeBoer. It'll just be interesting to see how he goes about it this time because we waited till the end of the whole offseason to week 1 into Florida State to announce Ty Simpson the job, but how will he? But it all just hinges on Ty Simpson's decision first. That'll be the first big domino.
There's no way that Ty Simpson can theoretically improve his draft stock next year unless he has a Heisman-like campaign. That's why it makes sense for him to go. It's just, what does he want to do, and does he see the NIL benefit at Alabama being enough? I think with the draft class being as weak as it is, it would make sense for him to go, plus with the proposed competition that he would have to retain the job. I still think if he came back, it really wouldn't be that close, but you could be right. I mean, you could be right, because I was hot on Keelan Russell in the offseason, this past offseason. I was like, I think Russell will beat Simpson for the job. We haven't seen Simpson do anything, and I was proven wrong in that standpoint. Simpson won the job, and Simpson, for 2/3 of the season, was darn good and was in the Heisman conversation and was making great throws, and then it kind of declined. I think, again, it was more so just defenses figured out, like, hey, Alabama can't run the ball. We got to shut down Ty Simpson, and they did.
They figured that out by week 6.
So
they figured that out.
It's very interesting. I think Ty Simpson probably should go based off where Kiper has him. And again, the class is weak. He's probably going to be drafted late first. It's just in my heart of hearts, I would love to see him come back for real, because I think he could do better next year if they do better next year, but probably would make sense for him to go. It probably would.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, the Steelers, I don't think they're going to be looking for Aaron Rodgers for beyond 2026. Like, they're still kind of figuring that out. And the Dolphins, I can't help but wonder if – I don't know how long the Tua era's lasting.
I've seen proposed trades and the Dolphins might trade up, but maybe not. Yeah. They might not.
Yeah, Tua in Miami, unfortunately, I think that ship is sailed. Dolphins kind of made their pick with who they were going to take between Coach Mike McDaniel and Tua. Mike McDaniel has not been fired. Tua has already been benched. That the writing's on the wall with that. But in terms of the market for NFL franchises where I could see a Ty Simpson landing with his draft stock and just the needs of teams in the NFL. I look at teams like the Los Angeles Rams, maybe with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford still being there. Matthew Stafford hasn't said he's going to retire anything, but they could take Ty Simpson late and sit him behind Stafford. I've seen that idea thrown out there a couple times. I've seen ideas of him with the Cardinals potentially, or a team like that, or just a contending team with a quarterback that already knows he's the quarterback, but could use a potential developmental quarterback in the shadows, learning on the sideline. So that's really what I think the developmental process will be for Ty Simpson if he does decide to go to the NFL. And that's similar to what Jalen Milroe is going through right now under Sam Darnold in Seattle. They're not the same type of quarterback, but that's literally what Jalen Milroe is going through. He's a developmental quarterback on the Seattle Seahawks. That'll probably be what happens with Ty Simpson. But if not, like I said, he could easily come back to Tuscaloosa, and it'll be interesting to see what DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, what their leash will be for a quarterback like that. His leash could be for him coming back. He could be promised to start a job, but his leash could be so short. So because Alabama, they didn't make a lot of changes in their quarterback. They like the past 2 seasons, like they roll with Jalen Milroe to the end. They roll with Ty Simpson to the very end till he couldn't go again. But those were 2 different quarterbacks. Ty Simpson, if he come back again, his leash just might be short. So that's would be my one of my biggest issues with him coming back and stuff like that. What dynamic would that create in the locker room and stuff like that? I'm not sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just looking at just some of the other positions that Alabama will be losing. They're losing their 2 starting linebackers, Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson. They're out of eligibility. They're losing Jeremy Bernard. He's out of eligibility. They're losing Damani Jackson. He's out of eligibility, even though you have Dejon Lee and Xavier Brown. But I probably will have to look at all the list of players that are out of eligibility, but Alabama is definitely going to have some roster turnover this year. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I just said, transfer portal opens tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we'll start seeing some of these players down the roster on the Alabama roster that, that didn't play a lot this year. They're going to have to make business decisions too. So, with Alabama not winning and stuff like that today, reality is here now. We're in the 2026 season. So, it'll be interesting to see how Kalen DeBoer wants to build up this football team on both sides. But I will say defensively, I am still encouraged about what Kane Warmack was able to do, because what we saw with Indiana today, they took advantage of Alabama. They turned them over and this and that. But they scored on. I mean, they put together some long drives. I think they had like 2 14-play drives or something like that. But this defense wasn't the reason they lost today. I wouldn't say that. I mean, they did give up a pretty substantial amount on in the rushing game, and that kind of was by design, like you said, Jeffrey. But defensively, I wouldn't hang my hat on today's performance on Kane Warmack, because I still think defensively they played good, But defense, they only could do so much. You could tell they're gassed. Offense is not giving us anything, and that leads to player morale in terms of like effort and not playing hard and looking tired on the field and stuff like that. But like I was saying, defensively, I think the work starts offensively. Like we have to, of course, you want to reload on defense, but the main focus needs to be offensively up front, quarterback room. Might have to do something with Alabama's offensive line coach. I've been hearing some rumors about Alabama's offensive line coach Kapovich. They were saying that he could potentially, they could be potentially parting ways with him. That hasn't been officially reported, but that could be something. So unfortunately, that's the like I just said, just a lot of hard decisions that will have to have. A lot of tough conversations going to have to have in the month of January and move on for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. We will definitely be having a lot of those conversations for sure.
I do want to comment on David's pointer really quick. Are you guys crazy? He's a 5th round pick talking about Ty Simpson at best. I heard the same thing about Deion Sanders' son. Ty Simpson is not a 5th round pick.
He's not a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows football would know he's not a 5th round pick. I mean, even with the draft being is relatively weak as it is, you still can make certain cases that Ty Simpson could be drafted in earlier rounds, because he's shown on different occasions with Alabama not having a run game. He's still shown different traits of a NFL quarterback, whether that's being a developmental player or starting. I'm not saying he's a day one starter in the NFL. That never came out of my mouth, but still the same. He's shown NFL traits that he can transition to Sundays and be on an NFL roster and be taken in earlier rounds. So to take that him being a 5th round pick is crazy. Shedeur Sanders shouldn't have been a 5th round pick either. That's a different conversation. But yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I can't wait to discuss the 2026 draft. That's gonna be fun for sure when we do get closer to that point for sure. And we just want to tell you thank you so much for all of you tuning in on the Alabama Postgame Show. And even though it's been a bad day for all of us, seeing the Crimson Tide having a really bad day, all of you tuning in has made it better for all of us. And we just want to tell you thank you all for tuning in on the first show of 2026. We just want to let you know, thank you all. Gentlemen, did we leave out anything else tonight?
It's still a lot of news coming out. Players, player interviews. DeBoer still speaking to the media. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's wrapped up now within the last hour. But like I said, the transfer portal coming tomorrow. The NFL draft deadline is for players not making not playing in the national championship or continuing the college football playoffs. I think it was January 14th. They had to make a decision. But of course, if Alabama kept winning, and which is what I think Todd Simpson was hinging this decision on, Indiana, for example, they won't, if they make it to the national championship, they won't have to make a decision for as long as January 2000, for as long as January 2023. But players not in the playoffs currently, with that being Alabama, they'll probably have to make a decision. I saw it was January 14th through the 16th, I believe. But a lot of news coming up for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. And looks like we're gonna be on the signing off point because we're gonna go ahead and get ready to keep an eye on Georgia Ole Miss, the rest of it, and also we've got the college show with Jeffrey and myself, 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for all of you as we take your calls on the Crimson Tide, and of course there's Monday night where it's Trevion, Jeffrey, and myself for an exciting edition of Crimson Tide Live. And we will keep you posted, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, and then there's Primetime Live, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday nights. We usually just kind of get wild, and we're all set and ready to go discussing the Crimson Tide with all of you, all right here on Alabama, the Voice of College Football. And Jeffrey, what magic are you cooking on Only Talk Sports, good buddy?
It's very well possible after the Georgia Ole Miss game that I will go live. Hopefully not until 4 a.m., but you never know. It's always a good time, and appreciate everybody who checks it out. It's always a dandy for sure. So definitely, if you haven't already, definitely check out my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports. I would appreciate it. Also follow me on X as well. Post updates when I'm going live, and also on Alabama, the Voice of College Football. But most importantly, subscribe to Alabama, the Voice of College Football. Me, Jackson, and Trevion. We're going to a ton more content coming for you as we begin the offseason for Alabama. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about DeBoer, probably a lot. Is he going to get fired? Is he on the hot seat? No. But we'll have to entertain those thoughts for all the people out there that will talk about it. And it's going to be sad to do that. But we're also going to talk about a bunch of positive things like portal additions and hopefully improvements for Alabama. And we're going to be back next year in 2026, 2027. Alabama's not going anywhere. We're not falling off a cliff like Clemson. But even if we do, which we're not, but even if we did, we're still going to be here covering Alabama for all of you guys. We'll be here regardless of the rain and the snow and the sleet and the hail and all those things that Jackson talks about for sure.
We don't let rain
weather patterns.
Oh man, I forgot.
Got to give you credit for your line, man.
Oh, there you go, man. I appreciate it. And Trevion, what's the magic you're cooking all right here at Alabama, the Voice of College Football, but also at Bama Hammer? Let's hear it.
Some of the magic I'm cooking up, of course, listening to some of these post-game interviews after I get off of here, and, trying to put out some of this news before some of the other beat writers can get to it, just about takeaways from the press conference, what players have to say, the latest on player decisions, stuff like that. The transfer portal is going to be opening tomorrow. I'm going to be looking at a few players that potentially I think Alabama could potentially use in the transfer portal. on both sides of the football. And so like I said, you could find my latest work on the Bama Hammer, the Powered by Fans site. We have a pretty good team of journalists that just dedicated to Alabama football and wants to get the latest out to everybody that enjoys Alabama content. So that's really what I'm about now, and just enjoying some of the rest of these football games. I no longer have a dog in the fight with Alabama being out officially, so I have no rooting interest. I just want to see good football. So if that means Indiana and Fernando Mendoza raising up that national championship trophy, if they end up being the best team, hey, I'm not mad at it. So
Nope.
just wanna end this college football season out with a good ending. Hopefully a classic national championship game, and look forward as Alabama moves forward into New Year.
There you go, man. And that's why you give Trevion a follow on TWare1K on @/Twitter. And also give Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports a follow at Only Talk Sports. He is at 17,000 followers. Let's help him get to 20,000 followers on @/Twitter. And also check him out on Only Talk Sports, where he talks sports every single day, or at least he tries to. Let's get him over to 4,000 subs. And you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979, where I've got some episodes of the Jackson in the works. You're going to love them. You're going to see all kinds of magic 2026. And you can also check me out on SEC at the Voice of College Football, where Andrew Miller and I were talking a little bit about the SEC having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad bowl season. It's been terrible. So Mississippi. Oh, man. What they've had was a failure to communicate, like the fat man on Cool Hand Luke. And you can also check me out on Jacksonville CFB on @/Twitter and on Instagram threads at Jackson Johnson 543-908. And with that being said, we wish y'all a very, very happy New Year.
Happy New
And
Year.
the like, comment, there you go.
Happy New Year's. It's definitely going to be a good year. Today is not the end all or be all things. Alabama football will see brighter days, and we'll be here. Me, Jackson, and Jeffrey will be here to bring it to you. So happy New Year to everybody watching for sure.
Oh, there we go. And get this. You know how many days it is till 2026 for us? Only 247 days till the start of the 2026 season.
Oh, let the countdown begin, man.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what we do here for sure, is count down every week until it gets closer to the season. Oh, man. And with that being said, we wish you all a happy New Year, happy 2026, and a happy Thursday night. And to stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we will see y'all soon. And roll
Tide.
Good night, everybody.